exactly is the difference between the different architecture programs? Why not just learn SketchUp? Why not just learn Revit? What is the difference between BIM and CAD? What is CAD? What even is BIM? What do all these things mean? And which software should you learn? Why not just, stick to 3D Studio Max? Why not just stick to Blender? Why not just stick to SketchUp? Why not just stick to AutoCAD? So, what is the difference? So you guys have been asking very good questions, and I really appreciate it. And by the end of this video, you should get a very good grasp of the main questions that that all of you have been asking, and it should help you. This video should help you determine whether or not you want to commit to this course, to those of you who are still on the fence. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing that we want to talk about is, first of all, what even is architecture, and what is the difference between BIM and CAD? Okay, so in architecture, we have what's called BIM, that's Building Information Modeling, BIM. So we have BIM, and then we have CAD. Most people are familiar with CAD. You've heard of CAD. CAD has been around for a long time. And BIM is like a big brother of CAD, basically. Okay, so CAD stands for Computer Aided Design, and BIM, BIM, stands for Building Information Modeling. Okay, so what is the difference between BIM and CAD, and which software should you use? A lot of people ask me, well, it looks like what you do is basically what SketchUp does. I've had a lot of people say that, and so they felt like, well, since I already know SketchUp, why should I commit to learning Chief Architect? Well, here's the difference between Chief Architect and SketchUp. Let me just explain to you what exactly this is. Okay, so this is Chief Architect, and Chief Architect is a BIM software. BIM is BIM, Building Information Modeling. Okay, so Chief Architect is Building Information Modeling. Now, I've created this building as a demo project, and I'm going to show you this same building inside of SketchUp. Let's go inside of SketchUp. Okay, so this is the same building inside of SketchUp. Okay, now the difference between SketchUp and architecture software is that SketchUp, just like 3D Studio Max, just like Blender, Cinema 4D, or any modeling software, 3D modeling software, the difference between SketchUp and Chief Architect, or SketchUp and Revit, is that SketchUp is not BIM. SketchUp is not Building Information Modeling. So when you create something inside of SketchUp, let me just show you an example right now. Let's say I wanted to create a tiny little let's see, block. Okay, so I create a block inside of SketchUp, and then I create a little circle, and we're going to extrude that circle. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, now the thing with modeling software, you could easily have done this also inside of 3D Studio Max or Autodesk Maya or Blender. You can model anything with these programs, but they don't tell you any information. So when I double click on this, you're not getting any information about this circle. You're not going to get, if you wanted to know the dimensions of this circle, you would have to like manually measure it. You have to use the tape measure, to get the dimensions right here. And if you wanted to get the dimensions of this, you would have to manually, it doesn't tell you anything about this circle. We don't know what this circle is. We don't know what this object even means. We don't have any information. So if we wanted to 3D print this, or if we wanted to send this to a builder, okay, to a construction company, and say, hey, construction company, we want you to recreate this in real life for us. The construction company, they're going to need some information. Okay, they're going to need information, coordinates. They're going to need dimensions. They're going to need a lot of information. Like, for instance, what material should this be made out of? Is this metal? Is this plastic? What even is this? How much is it going to cost to manufacture this? Okay, so that's the difference between SketchUp, 3D Studio Max. You can put SketchUp, 3D Studio Max, Blender, all these softwares in one group, because they are modeling software. So when you use SketchUp to model a house, when you use SketchUp to build anything, taking that building and sending it to a builder or an architect and saying, hey, I want this to be built, is going to be tricky because they're going to need a lot of information. See, in SketchUp, when we have these doors and windows, we don't have any information about these doors and windows. What kind of door is this? We don't know. What manufacturer created this door? We don't know. See, 3D Studio Max cannot tell you what manufacturer created this door. Autodesk Maya cannot tell you which store and how much it'll cost to put these doors in your home. These windows, we don't have any information about these windows. Okay, notice that the key word that I'm saying over and over is information. Information is the key. We have no information. SketchUp gives us no information about the cost of these windows. We don't know if these are insulated. We don't know if these are energy efficient windows. We don't know what kind of glass. We don't know if there are like solar panels on the roof. We have no information. So when we want to send our house over to a builder to build our house, the builder has no information. Okay, so he doesn't know what to put in his material list. Okay. And so that's why SketchUp, SketchUp, just like 3D Studio Max, just like Autodesk Maya, just like, what else can you use for, Dash 3D, Hexagon, all these different modeling software, they are just for modeling. So if you wanted to know what software should you learn, which software should you commit to, the question you have to ask yourself is, what are you going to be doing? If you want to be in the architecture field, meaning you actually want to create real homes with real dimensions, which will be built, and a human person will live inside these homes, real human families are going to inhabit these homes, then you cannot rely on SketchUp, you cannot rely on 3D Studio Max, you cannot rely on Autodesk Maya, Blender. These programs are not for building real houses with real dimensions, okay? You will need to invest in learning Chief Architect. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what Chief Architect does. Chief Architect, okay, versus all the other softwares that I just talked to you about. Okay, for instance, BIM versus CAD. The beautiful thing about BIM, okay, is that BIM, Building Information Modeling, gives you all the information, all these intricate details that you're going to need to show to a builder, and so that a builder can look at this and they can say, okay, this is how thick the wall needs to be in this part of the house. This is how thin the interior walls need to be in this part of the house. Each of these lines are not just lines. With CAD, when you're using CAD software, CAD, okay, when you're using CAD software, let's go right back to SketchUp for a moment. When we're using CAD, let's see, let's get our 3D text and let's just type CAD. Okay, CAD versus BIM. Okay, in CAD, the difference is that when you're using CAD, computer-aided design, all you get with CAD is you get lines. Okay, CAD is what you need if you're just going to be putting a floor plan on paper for an architect or for a builder to just see on paper in a very flat way what you want your house to look like. So this is CAD. Okay, this right here, this is CAD. These are just lines and they represent things. This line represents a wall, this line represents a wall, this represents a door, this is a window, you can add a fireplace. So that's CAD. CAD is just lines, and these lines put together represent a house, okay? But when you want to get more specific, when you need information which you're going to now export and send to a builder so the builder can start building this house, you're going to need to focus on BIM, Building Information Modeling, specifically the information, okay? So that's where architecture software has the leg up over all these other programs. Now, if you know, like I said, if you know that you're not going to actually be trying to build real homes for real people, then you don't need to really learn Chief Architect in the sense of actually building homes. But if you want a good modeling software to build architecture, Chief Architect is the way to go. I do recommend it. It's excellent for residential design and light commercial design, just because it's faster than building everything from scratch using SketchUp. But here's what Chief Architect does. Here's the information that this will give you. The difference between BIM and CAD is that when you draw a line, okay, when you draw a line inside of CAD software, like AutoCAD, for instance, okay, so when you draw a line with AutoCAD or with CAD software, all you get when you double click on that line, just like with SketchUp, okay, with SketchUp, if I was to draw a line right now, okay, that's it. All you get is that line. Okay, you don't get any special information about this line. The software is not going to tell you anything about this line. We know nothing about this line, okay? But with BIM software, okay, the difference with BIM software is that you're not just drawing lines like with CAD. With CAD, you're just drawing lines and people have to figure out what this all means. What even are we doing, right? So that's CAD. With CAD, you're just going to get fancy lines, and these fancy lines can make a house. With BIM, when we draw a line, that line means something. There's information. So when we double click on this, this is a wall. Specifically, it's an exterior wall, and there is so much information inside this wall. Okay, thickness, wall length, angles. We can change it to a foundation wall, railing wall. I mean, there's just so much we can do. We can come here to the structure and we can say, okay, we want this to be structured a certain way. We can say we want this to stop at the ceiling above. We can say we want a roof over this. We don't want a roof over this. We can change the framing. We can build a framing. We can decide the roof, gable walls. I mean, there's so much information because here, this is an architecture software used for building real homes. So these are the information. This is the information. And wall types, you have all these different walls, and these are real walls in real life, real types of walls used for real houses. Okay, so when you decide on a wall type and you click OK, now the software knows, oh, okay, that's what this is. This is a real wall. And when we send this over to the builder knows, okay, so this is the kind of wall we want to build. It's a 6-inch wall. It's an 8-inch wall. The thickness, we know what material we want to use on the wall, and then we can create a materials list. I mean, there's just so much that you can do with BIM software. Okay, so BIM software gives you the information you need, okay, to actually build the house. That's what you need to understand. That's why it's called BIM, Building Information Modeling. We're not just modeling a house as with CAD. With CAD, you're just putting lines together to make a house. With BIM, you're getting all the information you need. I'm going to show you another very cool example. So in real life, okay, in real life, when you build a house, mind you, right now we're inside of Chief Architect, okay? I know that I'm moving a little fast, so you might get confused. You might think I'm in SketchUp when I'm really in Chief Architect. Right now I'm in Chief Architect. I'm going to show you what you can do, okay? Just to kind of get you excited for this course. When you're building inside of Chief Architect, in real life, when you build a house, so let's say our house is done. Let's take an interior view of our house. So let's say that we've built our little house. It looks like it's ready to be livable, except it's not yet livable, okay? Because we don't have any lights. We don't have any switches. Where even are the plugs? There's nothing. You can't plug your iPhones. You can't charge your tablets. There are no switches. There's nothing. There's no electricity. Okay, so are these even connected yet? Is there plumbing? So this is what building information does. Is this dishwasher going to work properly? Let's click on this and let's start working on this dishwasher. Who's the manufacturer of this dishwasher? How much is this going to cost? So that's what this does. This, you can put comments in for your builders, and they can I mean, there's just so much. There's just so much. Like, how wide is this drawer? Drawer style, handles. I mean, there's just so much. Okay, so now we need to make sure that our space is livable. Okay, and let's add some lights. And I'm going to show you how you can connect your lights in, realistically inside of this program. So the first thing we want to do is we want to place some outlets. Okay, and here's the smart thing about this program. Because it's BIM, it will place your outlets very, very intelligently based on the type of room you're in. So if we double click on this room and we say room type, we want to specify this to be a kitchen, for instance. Okay, well, half of this is a kitchen and the other half is a living room, but let's just say we're going to call this a kitchen. Okay, so if we specify this room to be a kitchen, okay, when we place our electrical outlets, let's say auto place outlets, it's going to place our outlets in a very intelligent way according to code for kitchens. Okay, so now let's take a look at our camera. Okay, so we've placed some outlets in very intelligent areas inside the kitchen. Very, very smart. You can't do that with 3D Studio Max, with Blender, with SketchUp. Okay. So the program automatically knows, because we told the program that this is a kitchen, it knows where to place these outlets. So now we can charge our fancy iPads and our fancy iPhones, or if you're like me, your Android, because I don't use iPhones, but I like the MacBooks. I just don't like their phones. So now we have our outlets, okay, all over the house. Okay, let's get a camera and let's look at this wall. Okay, we have some outlets here. Let me change the rendering style so you can really see that. Okay, and you can manually change these, so don't think you're stuck with the automatic placements. You can change it, and you can also just hit the delete button and delete which ones you don't like. So if there are too many outlets, you can say, you know what, this is a bit overkill in this part of the house, we don't really need that many. Okay, so everything you do inside of BIM, okay, when you're working with BIM, your builders will get this information. When they see your floor plan, they know what this means. They know that these are outlets. All of these are outlets. Okay, so now we have our outlets and we're good to go. Okay, we have an outlet here. This is a door. And now we're going to tell the program that, hey, when somebody comes in through this door, okay, when somebody comes inside their house, and they can automatically turn on a light. Okay, so if you want someone to come in and automatically have a light switch to turn on right here, then now we need to add some lights. So we're going to go into our program. This is the entrance door, and we have an outlet here. Let's go ahead and add a light. Okay, so let's go and add a light. We're going to put the light right here. Okay, let's go ahead and move this label because it's getting a little confusing. I want you to be able to see what's going on. Okay, so we have a recessed light right here. Okay, let's take a look at that up top. So now we have a light right here. Okay, now we have a light, but we don't have a switch. So without a switch, how's the light going to turn on? So now we have to tell the program that, hey, when our people come in through this door, we want them to turn on this light using a switch right here. So let's add a switch. I'm going to add a switch. Boom. The $ means switch. Okay. Now we're going to add a switch right here. Let's take a look at our camera. All right. Oh dear. So our switch is all the way over there. That's a bit far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this switch because I kind of want it to be right by the door when you come in, so you're not stumbling around in the dark. Okay, so now we have this switch and we have a light up top. I'm trying to get you to see this light. Okay, so we have a switch, we have a light, we have outlets to charge our stuff. Okay, now we need to tell the program, we need to let our builders know when they're building this house that we want this switch to turn on this light. Because realistically, you're going to have several lights in your home. Okay, so let's add another light right here in this room. We're going to add another light right here. So if you want one switch to turn on all the lights, you can set that up. But if you want this switch to turn on this light, now here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to connect our electricity. So to do that, we're going to go to the switch, click on the switch, and drag it to this light. Boom. Now we have a connection. Right? So now we're telling the software and our building our builders, when they get our floor plan, we're telling them that, hey, we want this switch to connect this light. to light up this light. Okay, and so now what's going to happen is every time somebody turns on this light or turns it off, turns on this switch, it will affect this light. Now, if you want your switch to turn on all the lights, okay, what you're going to have to do is you're going to drag this over here to this light, and you're going to drag it over here to this light. And now this one switch affects this light, affects this light, affects this light. Now, if you don't want this, if you don't like this connection, let's say you change your mind, you're like, you know what, I don't like this, delete it. Okay, just delete it. And when you delete it, it's asking me to save. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save. And I'm going to open it up again. Let's go back to our porch. And here we are. All right, so now we have this switch only affecting this light and this light. Let's say you want this room to have its own switch. So let's add a switch. You come in through the door, the switch should be by the door. Let's just put it by the door. And we're gonna again connect the electricity. Now I'm showing you all this because this is what real this is architectural design. Architectural design is intricate. It's very, very, you know, it's very much in the back end. Okay, architecture design is not so much about the you know, the finished product. All this stuff, this is for 3D modeling. This is for like video games, film, and stuff like that. Architectural design is about this kind of stuff. You have to worry about the plumbing, electricity, you know. And so this is the part of the architecture class that really gets people excited, because a lot of people didn't know that it gets this intricate, but it does. That's the difference between, you know, Chief Architect, Revit. Chief Architect and Revit, these are real building information modeling softwares, and they give you very specific information about everything that you're doing. From the lights, these lights right here, you can easily change these to other different types of lights. You can specify all the information, and then when you're done, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to create a template and a let's see, where is my materials list? I haven't had to do those in a while. So what you do when you're done is you create a materials list, and it calculates the materials for all floors or by room, and you send this to your builders, you send this to your client, and your client will take a look at the materials list, and they will decide if they want to build this house. Okay, you let them know how much this is going to cost, and then they have to, you know, greenlight the project, and then the house gets built. Okay, you even have a loan calculator. I mean, it's very, very beautiful. It's a very, very beautiful software. Okay, so I just wanted to let you guys know how this works. It's a it's a very beautiful, beautiful program, and when you're designing, when you're designing your cabinets, you know, it's the same thing. Now you can specify. Oh gosh, for some reason I'm having issues with my. Okay. Oh well. Well, you can specify. Why can't I click on things? Okay. Well, I don't know what's going on with that. Let me just go in here and do this from the 3D view. Yeah, so you can specify your cabinets, right, and you can decide how you want this to look. I mean, there's just so much you can do. Okay, so that's the difference. I just really wanted you guys to understand the difference between BIM and CAD. If you still have any questions and you would like to have some further information, of course, now you have these lights turned on. You can turn them off somewhere up here. Adjust lights, so you can easily turn off lights. Okay, now your lights are off. Okay, and you can adjust the sunlight, and then you have one of my wonderful favorite features is the cross-section slider, and this is where you basically can do cool stuff like that to show the build. You know, now you can kind of, you know, do that and go back to the cross section. You can build it back up, and then you can do the split. Okay, and build it back up. Now you can. So yeah, there's a lot. If you wanted to show a client a better, you know, a more unique view of the house, this is what the cross section does. And so so yeah, that's the difference between these programs and Chief Architect. And when you sign up for this class, you get to tell me how detailed you want me to teach you. Because obviously I'm not going to teach you things that you don't need to know. If you don't want to know about setting up electrical and setting up, you know, learning about CAD, learning about foundations, wall types, pony walls, if you don't want to learn about that stuff, if you are using Chief Architect just to build architecture for your games and your films, then obviously you don't need to worry about how the electrical is set up. You don't need this stuff. Okay, all you need is, you just need a switch and some outlets, but you don't actually have to worry about, okay, well, which light turns on, which switch turns on which light. You know, you don't need to worry about all that when you're using these buildings strictly for games. Okay, so I just wanted to make that very clear. That's why I teach the way that I teach. I teach the way that I teach. And I teach one-on-one for this reason, because everyone comes to me for different reasons. For those of you who have signed up for the class already, my past students who have already taken this course, each of them had different needs. So I've had students who simply wanted to only learn how to just create the houses and the buildings, because they were basically just going to use it for film, or they just were basically trying to sell their houses to make a little bit of money. And so for stuff like that, you don't have to learn the detailed, intricate architectural, you know, you don't have to get very specific. But for those of you who are coming to me because you do actually want to learn building information modeling for architectural purposes, because you actually will be working with architects, or you plan to work for an architectural firm as a drafter, then this course is also perfect for you. Because I teach very quickly. For those of you who are quick learners, you're going to love my course. You're going to love my teaching style, because I don't teach fluff. You get started from day one, learning exactly what you want to learn. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. And last but not least, thank you so much for watching my my review, my little trailer. And just to give you guys a little, let's see, just to, nope, don't save, just to give you guys a tiny little view of what you saw in the trailer. Let me try to get a better, I'm trying to fix my sunlight. My son, I hope you guys can see this, but anyway, so of course all of this that you see here, this is what I used for my trailer. This city, this little view I thought was very beautiful, and this is of course the intro to DevTech. If you're interested in learning how to create stuff like this, make sure you sign up for my architectural course. You will be taught how to create beautiful scenes, beautiful intros for your films, and you know, beautiful scenes for your games. So if you thought this was cool and you would like to learn how this was done, make sure you sign up for my architectural course. It's $1,000, and you will learn everything you need to know. I would teach you everything from scratch. You can work at your own pace. You learn only what you want to learn. And thank you guys so much for watching. This was created using Chief Architect. And of course, you can render, after you create your buildings and your models inside of Chief Architect, you can send it to 3D Studio Max, and you can render it using V-Ray or Octane Render. You could render it inside of Blender using iRay. So you could render it inside of Daz Studio. I've done some really beautiful Daz Studio renderings, which are just wonderful. And so, yeah, I use a variety of software in creating DefTech. So thank you guys so much for your support. And I hope you guys really enjoy the beautiful retro cars, because again, this movie is set in 1977. So it's super, super important for me to use these old, beautiful old cars that you see here. Just wonderful. My goodness, look at that. Look at this guy. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful car. Just old. Just got the oldest looking cars I could get. And so that's what we're going for, because we wanted everything to look old. The buildings look old. They're not new buildings, so that it gives that nice retro, old, very old feel. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this has sold you on the architectural course. It's $1,000. I hope to see you guys in the class starting a week and a half from now, about 2 weeks from now. Sign up early, and so you can reserve a spot. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.